Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So we've got monthly favorites. It is that time of the month again. Every time I say it's that time of the month again, I always think about menstruation. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm gonna have to think of a new way of saying that. But it is that time again. We are going to be talking about my June favorites today. I have a lot of stuff. I'm really going to try and keep it brief, but as you know, I've been testing out a lot of stuff. I've been hoarding a lot of makeup lately and just really having like the best luck. I really have not been coming across a lot of duds. So get comfortable and let's get into my favorites. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. I basically filmed myself getting ready today with as many of the favorites as I could put on my face. And so I'll be talking about the products, and then I'll also have like cutaways to footage of me putting it on because I think that's probably a little bit helpful. I don't know, at least it won't be as boring as just sitting here watching me like. So before we jump into my huge long list here, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Michele. I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Instagram. I try and do unboxings on my Insta stories. I've been slacking a little bit because I've just been swamped. But anyway, trying to get into it. And if you're interested in unboxings and kind of like first impression swatches and stuff, I try and do that on Instagram. So follow me there. And without any further ado, let's get into my favorites. So I'm just going to try and go in order of how I apply these things to my face because that just makes the most sense to me. The two foundations or base products, I should say, that I have been reaching for the most, that I have been bringing with me on trips are these two. The Chanel Le Beige Sheer Healthy Glow Moisturizing Tint with an SPF 30. This is what I have on my face today. I have it in the shade Light. Is that it? Usually they have numbers too. No, this is just Light. This is the one that just came out this summer. I really enjoy this. I think it gives me just a really lovely natural finish. I think the coverage is light. You can kind of build it up to medium, but I like kind of reaching for this because in the summertime, I like a light kind of coverage and it feels nice. The only downside to this, and I think I've mentioned this before, is the fragrance. It is, you know, it doesn't smell bad. It smells nice. It smells like a Chanel perfume of some sort, but it lingers. Like it's a really potent fragrance. You know, by the end of the day, I can still kind of smell it on my skin just a little bit. You know, like I'll get a whiff of it if I turn or if like a strong wind comes along, I'll actually smell this foundation. That's the only downside to it. But other than that, I just think it leaves my skin looking like its best self. It doesn't look like I have like, you know, a full mask of foundation on. It just sort of kind of evens out my skin tone a bit. And I feel the exact same way with this La Mer Reparative Skin Tint. I have it in the shade Light 02. This one I want to say has a little bit more coverage than the Chanel. Just a tiny bit. Like this I would say is like light medium leaning towards light, and this one's like a light medium leaning towards medium, but this one is very, very nourishing. So if I feel like my skin is like a little bit dry or a little bit dehydrated and my skin just needs a little bit more like love, then I reach for the La Mer. So these two have been my go-to foundations lately. And the concealer that I have been reaching for is the Chantecaille Le Camouflage Stylo Anti-Fatigue Corrector Pen. And I was filming my concealer makeup collection video, and I pre-filmed a lot of those. So those are like relatively old or older. And I came across this and I was like, I really like this concealer, yet I don't really use it that often. So I took it out and I've just been using it nonstop. I have it on today. Sometimes I will use the brush tip to just kind of swipe it right onto my skin. Sometimes if I feel like I don't want to look like I have that much makeup on, what I will do, and you'll see it in the footage here, is I'll just put some on the back of my hand and then I'll use some sort of like brush like this and I'll just dab it in and just sort of work it around my eyes a little bit. Sometimes around my nose if I feel like it needs a little bit something, but today I just put it around my eyes. And it's so great. It doesn't emphasize lines. It feels really creamy. It doesn't look drying at all. I just really love it. And I have no idea what shade I have because there is no indication on this tube. But if I can figure out which one I ordered, I will definitely leave it down in the description box. I also will have a link to all the products I'm talking about down in the description box, as I always do. So definitely refer down there if you have more questions or if you need more info. But this is the concealer that I've been reaching for lately, and I've just been loving it. Just been loving it. Okay, next, let's talk about setting powder. So I still love my Clé de Peau translucent loose powder. I still use that quite often, but I think I've mentioned that endlessly over the past couple of months. So the other setting powder that I've been reaching for, just to kind of change things up, and I like it very, very much, is the Chanel Natural Finish Loose Powder. This has a really, really great natural finish. It's not matte. It is like a demi-matte, like a very light satin finish. It just looks very, very natural. Sets my makeup down beautifully. My skin doesn't look dry afterwards. It doesn't feel dry. It works wonderfully. And it's what I have on my face today. So here you'll see me applying it. I'm using my xoxo Z1 brush, which is my favorite setting powder brush. And yeah, I just kind of, you know, pounce it on, and then I just sort of sweep any excess away, and it just leaves my skin looking really, really natural. So that's the loose powder I've been using. Let's talk about bronzers. I was like, what is going on? I've been rotating so many different bronzers, and these four just sort of rose to the top. And I was like, why do I have 4 bronzers? What is going on with me? I guess it's because it's the summertime, and I do really, really enjoy bronzer. And I've come across some amazing, amazing bronzers. So let me start with the 2 Guerlain bronzers. You're probably not surprised that I'm talking about these, but the first one is the Terracotta Light bronzer. It comes in like their faux tortoise, like brown plastic packaging. And this is the Terracotta Light, the Sun-Kissed Healthy Glow Powder, light and long lasting. I have it in the shade 01, which is the light warm or the Claire Doré shade. And this is the one that has like different spokes of different colors, like a light bronzer, dark bronzer, and then like a peachy kind of blushy color. This is just such a beautiful everyday kind of bronzer because it is very, very light. So you see, it just gives, at least my skin tone, it gives it just a hint. So if I just want to look a little bit healthier, a little bit less pallid, I'll reach for this bronzer because it is so subtle and it's so beautiful, and it just gives your skin just enough, you know, just enough to kind of make it look alive and healthy. The other Guerlain bronzer is this limited edition Route de Zile terracotta bronzer, and this is the one that comes in the wood packaging, and it also has an imprint of like a compass on the inside. So the gold that you see at the top, it's actually worn away down here. That's an overspray, but this peach in the middle goes all the way through to the pan. So the bronze and the peach are the entire pan, and the gold is an overspray. So this bronzer packs a little bit of a heavier punch than that Terracotta Light. So here's a finger swatch of that bronzer, and then here it is swatched underneath the light. So you can see it's a bit deeper. And so I'll take this out if I want a little bit more high impact. And this is also great if you just want to dip your blush brush right in the middle here. You can get a really nice sort of warm peachy blush if you dip it right into the middle there. So this is a really, really lovely one. This also has a lovely, lovely beach fragrance, and there's actually a perfume, a limited edition perfume that they come out with, I believe, every summer, which smells like this compact. It just smells like the beach. It's really, really wonderful. It was very strong when I first purchased this compact, but now it's still there for sure, but it's calmed down a little bit. It's actually nice. It's like you had to let it breathe a little bit. So that's the second bronzer I've been loving. The third bronzer I've been loving is this one from Clé de Peau. So I did a whole Clé de Peau, like a full face try on haul, and this bronzer was part of it. So this is their bronzing duo. So the pan is split in half diagonally, and I have the shade number 1. I think they only have 2 shades, so basically like a lighter and a darker. And this is another really pretty kind of like light bronzer. So let me swatch these separately. So this is the lighter side, and then this is the deeper side. So here's lighter and deeper. So you can see the tone there is quite different from the Guerlain. The tone here is, there's a little bit more red there, so it gives you a little bit more of like a sunburnt look, which I really, really love. I feel like on days when I'm doing more of a neutral look, I'll reach for like a more red-based bronzer. I don't know why. I feel like that just works a little bit better. Maybe that's just my skin tone. But I really like these. And these have like a little bit of like a satin finish. I almost said shimmer, but it's not that extreme. It's just sort of a really nice satin finish. So they're not matte. And the two Guerlain bronzers also have like a little bit of like a demi matte, very, very light satin finish. So they're just really beautiful on the skin. And then last but not least, and I'm sure you guys could have guessed that this was coming up, but this is the new and limited edition Chantecaille Positano Bronzer Highlighter Duo. I think the full name is La Serena Bronzer Highlighter Duo. So this is such a beautiful palette. And this bronzer is so gorgeous. And this is actually what I have on my skin today. There is the bronzer. So it's a little bit deeper, I want to say, than the Guerlain, the Route de Zile. But it's not quite as warm. It's a little bit more neutral than all of these. And many people have been asking me if I think that this will work on a medium skin tone. I think it'll obviously be a little bit more subtle than it is on me, but it is buildable. And a friend of mine who does have a medium skin tone, after she kind of, she lightly dusted it all over, couldn't really see it. And then she went in a second time and then you could really see it. So it only took 2 applications and she was able to kind of make it work. So I think if you do have a medium skin tone, this could work for you, but it's not going to appear the same way as it does on my skin tone. But that's what I have on my face today. So those are the bronzers that I've been loving. And let's just jump into highlighters, because the highlighter in this Chantecaille Duo is another one that I've been loving. I took this palette with me to New York and it just was perfect. The bronzer and the highlight, all I needed was like this little compact. It was great. And I would throw it into my purse and use it for the mirror. It was just awesome. But anyway, so this highlighter in here is really gorgeous. So there's a finger swatch, and then here is a swatch. Such a beautiful, beautiful tone. A little bit warm, a little bit peachy, a little bit gold. Oh, it's just stunning. It really gives a really beautiful sheen to your skin, but it's not too crazy. You can really kind of brush it on, work it into the skin, and it just looks, again, just really this kind of like amped up natural. The other highlighter I have been reaching for and that I actually have on today is this Rodin luxury illuminating powder in Siren. So this is the one that comes in this gigantic plastic packaging that I love. I love this like clear acrylic packaging, and it has the cool embossing of like the mermaid. So this came out with their Mermaid Glow collection. I did a whole video on the collection. I just love this powder. It's so much fun. And to me, it's like shinier on the skin than the Chantecaille. You can see next to one another now how like the Chantecaille looks a little bit more kind of like satiny, while this one looks really kind of like metallic. And it's much peachier. It's also, I feel, a little bit cooler than the Chantecaille. The Chantecaille has a lot of gold in it. This, I feel like, has a little bit more of like a silver base. It's so pretty and it's so much fun. And again, that's what I have on my cheeks today. The last highlighter I'm going to mention is the Décolleté cream highlighter. So if I'm kind of having like a cream product kind of day, I have been using this little guy. So it comes in this little jar here, and you screw off the top and it just has this kind of like white cream. This is one of those like glossy kind of highlights with just a little bit of like a pearly pigment in there. Oh, it's so pretty, and it's prettier in the sunlight because I feel like the sunlight catches products that are like kind of glossy or have like an emollients to them, really catches the sunlight beautifully. So I wore this one in New York quite a bit too. And I packed this because it was small and travel friendly. And I thought, oh, it'd be a good time to use it. I just loved it. It's not sticky in any way. It's very, very creamy. It dries down a little bit after you've put it on, but there is still definitely a little bit of like emollients there, but really pretty and great for those like no makeup days. Okay, so that's it for highlighters. All right, and now for blushes. So there are 2 blushes that I've been reaching for quite a bit. The first one is the Tom Ford Love Lust. I just love this blush. It's what I have on today. You'll see me using it in this footage here. It's just gorgeous. It's basically a peach-based blush, but it has like gold in there. The sheen is unbelievable. I hope you guys can see like that gold shift. So anything with like a gold shift, to me that just screams summer. And it's kind of like peachy tone to it is just so, it just screams summer. So I've been loving this. Been traveling with this one as well. Another kind of like blush type product I've been using, it's actually very similar, but this is touted more as like an illuminating powder or a highlighter, but this is the Clé de Peau Luminizing Face Enhancer in the shade 15, I think apricot is what they call it, but it has like sort of the same idea. It's like peach based, but it has a lot of sheen to it. This one is definitely not quite as peach as the Tom Ford Love Lust, especially if you kind of blend everything together. So I like to kind of use it to top like my blush and my highlighter. So here's a swatch of that, and you can see that it's a little bit lighter, but it's definitely too, at least for me, it's definitely too like peachy to be just a straight up highlighter. So I kind of like using it to blend out my blush and my highlighter. So I've been loving this also. All right, so let's move on to eyes. Now, for eyebrows, I will say that this is a very new product. I haven't been using it for that long, but I have been using it nonstop since I got it. And this is the Dior Backstage Brow Palette. I just absolutely love it. It's what I have in my brows today. And when I first used this, when I did a whole review video on the Dior Backstage collection, I used the powders first and then I used the wax. So it has 2 powders and then a wax in here. And then I got a bunch of comments saying like you should use the wax first and then the powder, and then the wax will help the powders kind of stay in place. So that's what I've been doing. The wax you definitely have to be careful with. I was definitely going in a little bit too hard. I would take like the spoolie end of my brush here, and I was definitely like just like kind of going in there way too heavy handed. And then when I started kind of brushing it into my brow, it would get a little kind of like ball up a little bit and just look like I kind of had like rubber cement in my eyebrows. So I kind of had to tone that down and pick up just a teensy bit and use that for both of my brows. And it's been working great. And then I'll use this side. So this is the Anastasia 7B brush. I like this one, and I think number 12 also, which has like a smaller, a little bit more of a narrow flat brush, but same idea. And then I'll just dip this brush into the dark powder over here, and then just sort of make little like hair-like strokes in my brows. And then once there's like almost no powder left in here, I'll just take the brush like widthwise and just brush it over my entire brow like this, just to kind of get off the rest of the powder. And you know, if I have any kind of errant wax, it kind of like covers up the wax and blends that in also. So been loving this combination. So in terms of eyeshadows, I'm going to mention one that I don't think is available anymore, so we'll talk about it very quickly. It's the Melt Gemini palette. I love this palette. It performs, and I think this got very mixed reviews, but this performed beautifully for me. Every shade, I've used every shade in this palette. I love it. I think it works great. I think you can get a lot of different looks on here. You obviously can stick to a more like neutral, warm look over here, and then you can get a little bit funkier with the greens. It's just such a great palette. I absolutely love it, and I wish they would bring it back. I know everyone is split on the whole like limited edition thing. Like if they say it's limited edition, they should keep it limited edition. But I'm like, if it's a good product, I think they should just bring it back. Like what's no harm, no foul. And then this palette, I believe I hauled during the Sephora VIB Rouge sale. Yes, I think that's when I purchased this. This is the Tom Ford Golden Mink palette, so not a new palette at all. It's been around for ages, but I never picked it up, and it's just such a great kind of neutral palette. It's so beautiful. So, whoops. It's so beautiful. So the top 2 shades here are like those Tom Ford kind of like glitter topper shades that just sort of give your lids like a wet effect. It's like the same kind of shadow that's at the top of their cream and powder eye duos. And then the bottom here are 2 like satin shades. So let me go ahead and swatch these. So those are the 2 topper shades. They're very, very sheer. And again, they're just toppers, but they give your lids just this like great kind of like wet, glittery look. And I have this palette on my eyes today. So I used the 2 satin shades, and then I used the gold topper and just sort of brushed it across both of my lids. But here are the 2 satin shades. And this palette is just, it's so great. It's like every day, and then amp it up if you decide to go out for dinner or drinks or something. I took this palette with me to New York, and used it every day, and it was wonderful. I love it. Okay, and then in terms of eyeliner, these are totally new to my collection, but these are the absolute best eyeliners I have ever used, ever. And these are the new Chanel Stilo Ombre et Contour. So the eyeshadow liner Kohl, and I've been using the Nude Eclat and the Electric Brown. So I have the Nude Eclat in my waterline, just sort of, you know, brightens and kind of opens up your eyes. And then I have, let me swatch it for you. Here is the Nude Eclat. So it's just sort of like a nice shimmery peachy, light peachy shade. And then Electric Brown is like a metallic brown shade. So this is really beautiful as a liner, as like a smoked out shadow. But as liners, these guys don't budge. Now, I love the Tom Ford Eye Kohl Intense. I love the Pat McGrath, the Permagel Ultra eye pencils. I think that's the full name. But even those, at the end of the day, I'll see like a little bit, you know, you'll just see like a little smudging. To me, that's very, very normal after an entire day of wear, maybe 8-10 hours. I'll see a little bit, you know, and then I can kind of run my pinky over it, kind of smudge it away. It's usually fine. It's like it stopped bothering me years ago. These, no smudging, like none at all, whether I put it on my waterline, whether I tight line with them, whether I put it on my lid, on my lower lash line. I mean, wherever I've used these, they don't move at all. So I hope they come out with more colors because these are absolutely amazing. I am like so impressed by the quality of these. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, we're getting close. We're down to lips. So I just did a review and try on lip swatch video of these. These are the M Cosmetics True Glosses. These are so good. They're so comfortable on the lips. I love the like color payoff of them. I have been using Truffle Haze and Caramel Glaze nonstop, and these are very similar. The Truffle Haze is a little bit cooler and like more gray than the Caramel Glaze. The Caramel Glaze is like a little bit warmer. Let me just quickly swatch these two for you. So you can see Caramel Glaze is a bit warmer, Truffle Haze is a bit cooler, and been using these two just non-stop. This formula is so comfortable. There's no stickiness. They feel great. And I tend to like sticky lip glosses because I feel like they just stay put, but these feel like they're going to stay put also. I don't know what it is. The formula is so fantastic. Someone asked me if these bleed into the lips. I don't generally have that problem, so they don't bleed for me. But someone actually replied to that question in my swatch video and said that Emily Noel 83, who also did a video on these, that she said that they did not bleed for her at all. So I was happy to hear that. And just an FYI if you're interested. And the other color I've been loving is Blood Moon. So it's this great bright coral color, so perfect for the summertime. And this color actually stays on a bit longer than these two. These two definitely act like glosses. You know, you take a sip of water, you eat or whatever. These are pretty much gone. This will like stain your lips a little bit, so you'll definitely still have some pigment on your lips even after drinking and eating and stuff. So anyway, Truffle Haze, Caramel Glaze, and Blood Moon. These are the three that I just can't stop using. Love them. And then the other lip combo that I've been loving, if I want something like nude, but not quite so nude, because these are really nude, I have been using this combo. And this is the Tom Ford Devore lip color. This is what that shade looks like. And I have run out of space. Swatch it up here. So there is Devore. So you can see there's a lot more pink in there than these two. So if I'm looking for like something a little bit, you know, I don't know, less edgy than these, this is like a My Lips But Better kind of shade. And then I will top it off with the Pat McGrath Aliangelic lip gloss. I love this because it has like kind of like pinky reflex to it. But there is the Aliangelic gloss. So that's what I have on my lips today. I have that combo on. I just love it. I think it's a lot of fun, but I don't think it's too like, you know, loud and crazy. It's just, again, it's like once the sunlight kind of hits this gloss, it's like, oh, what's going on over there? So it's just a lot of fun. Okay, last but not least, I told you guys this is going to be long. Last but not least, finishing powders. So there are two finishing powders that I've been using. These aren't the only two finishing powders that I've been using, and there's a lot that I do love, but I've been reaching for these the most. So this is the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude, like powder foundation. What do they call this? Fusion powder, excuse me. This is the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Fusion powder. I have it in the shade 4. And you can use this as like a light foundation if you want, but it's really lovely as a finishing powder. And that's what I have on my skin today. I just sort of buff it on my cheek. I buff it over here a little bit on my forehead, and that's it. I kind of leave it there, but it has just a really nice, very, very lightweight feeling. It has a really silky texture. And this number 4, I don't know if all the shades have this, but I feel like there's a bit of like a golden kind of like sparkle or shimmer to it. It's really pretty. Let me see if the camera can pick this up. So I did a whole video on the Neo Nude collection, and I used it more as a foundation. So if you're interested in that, I do have a video on that if you want to take a look. And the other finishing powder I've been reaching for is a loose powder, and this is the YSL, the Soufflé d'Eclat powder, and I have it in the shade 02. And this powder, I just love it because it has just a hint of shimmer. It's not too crazy. I don't know why. I keep trying to swatch loose powders, but it just gives your skin like just a really beautiful, beautiful sheen. And I still have my Guerlain meteorites that I love. I still use those quite a bit for finishing. I like the Sisley powder for finishing, but for some reason, just recently, like over the past few weeks, I've been reaching for this one quite a bit. So anyway, been loving this. And I think that's it. Oh my gosh, we finally made it to the end. You should see this like disaster zone in front of me. It's like so crazy looking. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know down below in the comments section what some of your favorites have been. I really, really love hearing from you. I've been traveling and a little bit swamped lately, so I've been really backed up on responding to comments, but I do try to read them all as they come in. And if I haven't responded to you, I am very, very sorry, but I'm trying to get to all of them. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.